Hello students, I am Dr. Krupa Rasne, Professor and Head ENC Department, Jain College of Engineering, Belgavi. So now let us continue with the second video of Module 3 in Power Electronics. We'll be referring to the same textbook, that is Mohammad H. Rashid, Power Electronics, Circuit Devices and Applications. So in the previous video, we have known that there are two types of full wave bridge controlled rectifiers. So one is the half controlled bridge converter, semi-converter, and the other is the fully controlled bridge converter, which we call it as full converter. When we say bridge, we won't be using the center tap transformers. And in the previous video, we have looked at what is a semi-converter, which basically consists of a bridge made up of two SCRs and two diodes. And we have also done the derivation for V naught average value and V naught RMS value. Now in this problem, let us look at this particular semi-converter. So we have this semi-converter circuit here in front of you, where the bridge is basically made up of two SCRs and two diodes, and we have got the load as RL load. Okay, so in this problem we say that it is connected to say 120 volts. Now this 120 volts 60 hertz, when it is said, it is basically the RMS value. The load current IA can be, IA is nothing but the load current. It is assumed to be continuous and its ripple free content is negligible. Okay, so we assume it to be a perfect DC. The turns ratio of the transformer is unity. So we have to express in A the input current in Fourier series, determine the harmonic factor of input current, harmonic factor, displacement factor, and DF, and input factor PF. And also there is a part B, that is, once we find the derivation, let us substitute alpha equal to pi by 2 and evaluate VDC normalized value Vn, Vrms, HF, DF and PF. So the solution goes like this. So we know that a Fourier series is represented by I of t is equal to IDC plus summation of all the harmonics. So the harmonics can be from n equal to 1, 2 to infinite number, and inside they are basically consisting of the cosine and sine terms. So we represent Fourier series as DC value plus the harmonics, that is an cos n omega t plus bn sin omega t, where IDC is nothing but the average value or DC value. So we use the average formula 1 upon 2 pi, and since for this semi-converter the SCRs get triggered at alpha, so alpha to 2 pi I of t, and since we have got two pulses, that is one in the positive half cycle, one in the negative half cycle, so we split this IA, the load current, as alpha to pi minus integration pi plus alpha to 2 pi IA dt equal to 0. So we have considered IA as a load current, which is a DC value. Okay, and this value voltage, this IDC, we are going to consider it as 0 because this is going to be the positive and this is going to be the negative. So when we subtract, we are going to get a 0 value. Now what is AN? AN can be represented as 1 upon pi alpha to 2 pi I of t cos n omega t d omega t. This is equal to 1 upon pi alpha to pi. Again we have split it from alpha to pi and pi plus alpha to 2 pi, right? And when I integrate, we know cos, it becomes minus sign, and we get this value minus 2 n pi, because we are going to have n harmonics, right? And sine of n alpha, and n for only odd values of n, there will be a sine term, even values sine term is going to be 0. So we are going to say for odd terms it is minus 2 by n pi sine n alpha, and this value will be 0 for all the even terms. Similarly, we have to evaluate the Bn part of the Fourier series. So its formula is given as 1 upon pi, again alpha to 2 pi I of t sine n omega t. So when I split this between alpha to pi and pi plus alpha to 2 pi, integrating it, I will be getting 2ia upon n pi 1 plus cos n alpha. You can solve it a simple integration. Again, its value is valid only for the odd harmonics, that is n equal to 135, and its value will be 0 for all the even harmonics. Since IDC is 0, okay, since IDC is 0, the equation 1 can be written as I of t equal to your an, right, summation of your root 2, right, this plus that, if I add it, root 2 in sine n omega t plus phi of n, where phi of n is the phase angle between this voltage and current, and it's given as tan inverse a n upon b, and this is equal to minus n alpha by 2. If I, after substituting an by bn, I will get minus n alpha by 2. The RMS value of the nth harmonic component. So if I have to calculate the nth harmonic component, the RMS value, it will be given as 1 upon root 2 an squared plus bn squared under the root sign. So this, if I solve it, I will be getting 2 root 2 ia upon n pi cos n alpha by 2. So these formulas you are expected to remember. Okay, that is what is the nth harmonic component for a semi-converter. So nth harmonic component is in, which is equal to 2 root 2 ia upon n pi cos n alpha by 2. So what we did was we took the Fourier series and evaluated the values of an, bn and idc, substituted these values, and we got an expression for the nth harmonic component of the input current. Now, once I got the nth harmonic component, let me evaluate the fundamental current value. So that is got by putting n equal to 1. So when then I1 becomes equal to 2 root 2 Ia by pi cos of alpha by 2. And the RMS input current can be evaluated from equation 4, that is the previous slide, where IS is equal to the summation of all the harmonic components, the square term under the root sign. We know that the root mean square value is under the root sign, we get the formula. So IS can be determined directly from if I know this value, I can use this expression because we know the IS formula, sorry, the waveform. So using the waveform, we know it will go from alpha to pi, right? Though there is a positive and negative at the input side, right? Current is positive and negative at the input side, and hence we got IDC as 0. So here what we'll do, it's a squared term. So there's no question of cancelling. So you can substitute alpha to pi and take 2 times that. So it becomes Ia squared d omega t under the root sign. So for solving, I'll get Ia equal into 1 minus alpha by pi under the root sign. Okay. So what we evaluated was In first. Then we took n equal to 1 and we evaluated the fundamental current or the first harmonic component. Now we have evaluated the total RMS input current itself. And once I got this input current formula, I can use the harmonic form factor, calculate the harmonic factor. We know harmonic factor is Is upon I1 the whole squared minus 1 under the root sign. So when I put harmonic factor, substitute Is, here I have got, and I know that I1 is here. Substituting, I'll be getting this formula, that is HF is equal to under the root sign pi into pi minus alpha upon 4 into 1 plus cos alpha minus 1 under the root sign. Okay, and next is the distortion factor. We know distortion factor is cos of phi 1, and in case of semi converter, phi 1 is nothing but half of the firing angle, so minus alpha by 2. So power factor is also I1 upon Is cos of phi, that is alpha by 2. So substituting for I1 and Is, I will get an equation 9 with that is equal to root 2 1 plus cos alpha upon pi into pi minus alpha under the root sign. See, you are more than the derivation part, you may have to, you are expected to remember these formulas so that you can directly substitute them in the problems. So we evaluated IN in the previous slide, I1, IS. From that we got harmonic factor. Then displacement factor for a semi-converter, bridge full wave converter, we got as cos of minus, the displacement angle in this case is minus alpha by 2. And power factor also we have derived using this cos of I1 by S cos of alpha by 2. So this is the way we have to remember. Now let us continue with the formula, and in part B we are going to substitute alpha equal to pi by 2. So we take the same problem. In part A we have done the Fourier series, we have found the harmonic factor, we have found the displacement factor and the input power factor. Now by substituting alpha you are supposed to evaluate VDC normalized value and VRMS, HF, DF and PF. So substitute alpha as pi by 2, and we know that VDC is Vm by pi 1 plus cos alpha. See, this formula VDC will keep on changing depending upon what type of converter, control rectifier it is. So in the previous problem we saw it was a half wave control rectifier, and now we are dealing with a full wave bridge we call it as a semi converter, right? So for that we have Vm upon pi 1 plus cos alpha, and this is equal to Vm, we have to evaluate it. VRMS is given to you, so Vm is root 2 into 120, so we get 169.83. Okay, so substituting that value in VDC and putting alpha as pi by 2, I will get 51.57 volts, and the neutralized value is 0.5 times Pu, and VRMS is, this formula also we have derived in the previous video. Vm by root 2 1 upon pi in bracket pi minus alpha plus sine 2 alpha by 2 under the root sign. So if I put this value, again you put pi as pi by 2 here. So this term becomes pi minus pi by 2. So it becomes pi by 2 here, and substituting alpha here as 90 degrees in trigonometric substitutions, substitute as 90 degrees, and you should get this this value will become 0. Otherwise whatever it comes you have to take, okay, and then get it. So I got 81. Then evaluate I1, we know the I1 formula, okay, and we know IS formula. So by substituting the I1 and IS formula, I'll be getting these two values. Next is the harmonic factor. We have already done the equation for harmonic factor. We know either we go substituting it like this or directly use the formula that we have got. So the harmonic factor in this case is 0.48. We know that ideally harmonic factor has to be 0. Okay, and displacement factor should be equal to minus pi by cos of minus pi by alpha by 2. So alpha is pi by 2, so it will be minus pi by 4. So I get displacement factor as 0.7071. Power factor, you can use this formula directly or the formula that you have derived for part A, and you will get 0.6366 lagging. It is always lagging, power factor is always lagging because our loads are normally inductive loads. That is, a motor is connected, which we say it is an inductive load. So power factor can be calculated. Now note that this power factor is better than the same problem we did for half wave. Why it is better is because we are now dealing with full wave. So both the half cycles are converted to DC, whereas in half cycle the conversion factor was only for one half cycle. And we know the ideal value of power factor is 1, and 0.6366 is little closer to 1. So this performance parameters of these converters, it is also going to vary with respect to alpha. Okay. So now let us do the summary of semiconverters. So we saw the bridge rectifier looks in this fashion. We have got the input transformer. The secondary transformer is connected to the bridge. The bridge basically consists of two SCRs and two diodes. The load is considered as your RL load, and we have got this as the freewheeling diode. The advantage of this freewheeling diode is, first of all, it will not allow the current, the load current, when these are not conducting, to flow into the load. It prevents that. and it also helps the SCRs to turn off quickly whenever the input changes from positive to negative, right? And another thing is this ensures that the load current will always be positive. And because of that, whenever you have a diode in freewheeling mode like this and an RL load, remember the voltage is always going to be plus minus. So the drop across will be hardly minus zero point 0.7 when this diode is conducting. So we can very easily say that the output voltage is always DC, and also the current is always positive because it's a rectifier. So the current being always positive, the voltage also being positive, this single phase semi converter is also known to be a single quadrant operated converter. Okay. Then we found what is the average output voltage of this semi converter, and it is given as Vm by pi 1 plus cos alpha. We derived V naught RMS as Vm by root 2 1 by pi minus alpha plus sine 2 alpha by 2, closing the bracket under the root sign. Okay, so the RMS value of the fundamental current, we have seen I1 as 2 root 2 Ia upon pi cos of alpha by 2. The displacement angle is alpha by 2, right? And the RMS input current can be evaluated using this formula, Fourier series. And we also have evaluated power factor. You can use this formula directly and substitute it, you get this. So in solving the problem, if I evaluate I1 and IS, I can substitute and get the answer for power factor. Else you can directly, if you know, remember this formula, directly substitute alpha as whatever the problem statement says and get the value for power factor. We have also evaluated harmonic factor and the displacement factor as cos of minus alpha by 2. So this is the summary of single phase semi converter, which is a single quadrant operation device with two SCRs and two diodes in the bridge, and the load we have considered is RL. Okay, we can have load as purely R, okay, in which case also you will get the same waveform. But now let us move on to the fully controlled bridge converter. So here what is the difference between half controlled and fully controlled? Note both are full wave, but this is called half controlled because there are two SCRs and two diodes in the bridge. This is called full controlled because I have got going to get four SCRs in the bridge, and hence it is possible to fully control the converter. So now this is your full wave converter, that is a bridge converter with RL load. So what do we notice here is the secondary of the transformer is connected to a bridge, and instead of two diodes and two SCRs, I have got four thyristors, that is four SCRs. So I'll name it as T1, T2, T3 and T4. And the working principle is very similar. That is, during positive half cycle, the thyristors T1 and T2 will be forward bias, and during the negative cycle, the thyristors T3 and T4 are going to be forward bias. Note that the load is RL and we do not have any freewheeling diode to clamp the output voltage to positive. So because I don't have a freewheeling diode here, it is possible that the RL load will make the output voltage to go negative. If diode was there, it would have got clamped here as we see in semi-converter. Okay. Now in semi-converter, even if the diode is not there also, it is going to show you clamped because what the function of diode is there, that will be done by these two devices in half wave semi-converter. Okay. So let's not confuse. This is a full controlled bridge with RL load. Okay, here also I can have R load, RL load, RLE load, in which case I can connect a EMF or a voltage in series with this. If I connect a voltage in series with RL, that indicates it's a motor. Okay, so how does it work? So as similar to what we understand, if I had got all four diodes, obviously I will get this half wave and another half wave like a normal bridge rectifier. But since I have got SCR, we know that when during the positive half cycle, this is positive, this is negative. So positive is connected to the anode of T1 and negative is connected to the cathode of T2. Hence T1 and T2 are going to be forward biased, whereas T4 and T3, see, this is negative, so this is anode, so this will be forward bias, this will be reverse bias. This will be forward bias, this will be reverse bias. So we have got T1 and T2 as forward bias. So the current is expected to flow from this through the thyristor T1, flows like this. It cannot flow here, and then it flows through the load resistance, comes here, it cannot flow here because this is off, it comes out here, sorry, it will come here because it is on, and it cannot flow here because this is off. So the current from the load will come here, go here, and come back to the negative terminal of the input. So that happens during the positive half cycle. So if you see this waveform, here I have drawn the input. This is the load or output voltage waveform. This is the current. Again, I have assumed the current to be a perfect DC, a continuous load current, right? That is the one, when one stops conducting, the other takes over the load current. And this is the waveform at the input. So the input, you are going to get positive cycle when these two are conducting, and negative cycle when these two are conducting, right? So let us see the duration of operation. Now when this is positive and this is negative, T1 and T2 are conducting, are forward bias, but they are not conducting till and until a gate pulse is arrived. Let us say the gate pulse arrives at alpha. So it will start to conduct from alpha, right, till pi, because it is forward bias till there. So from alpha to pi, it is going to conduct who? T1 and T2. So I have shown here T1 and T2 will conduct from alpha to pi. What happens at pi? At pi, what happens is the input is going to reverse. The minute input reverses, that is, this becomes minus and this becomes minus and this becomes plus, T1 and T2 is becoming reverse biased. But they will not stop conducting because of this RL load. The function of RL load is to not stop the current to stop flowing, right? And it will continue to flow. And since I don't have a freewheeling diode like in previous, that current would have flowed like this. So the effect of inductor is to not stop that current at pi, and the current will be forced to continue to conduct through the same devices, right? Through the same devices means T1 and T2 in the same direction, right? So T1 and T2 will continue to conduct because of this inductor. If it was purely resistive, it would have stopped at pi. But this inductor is the one responsible to keep the current flowing even beyond pi. And it will flow, go on flowing till, see, meantime, the input voltage has reversed and these two are forward biased, but they are not conducting. Okay, they are not conducting because gate pulse has not come for them. Their gate pulse will come at pi plus alpha. So till they are they are going to conduct, the previous two thyristors will continue to conduct. So you can note that the alpha will be triggered here in the positive half cycle. The current will start to flow in the load, positive current like this, and the voltage will come across the output voltage till pi, and after pi the inductor will not stop that current, and hence these two switches continue to be remain on and carrying the load current. Because they are on, this part is connected to input, this part is connected to the load, and hence you see that the load voltage is same as input from alpha and beyond pi till pi plus alpha. At pi plus alpha, you are going to have the other two thyristors which are forward biased are given a pulse or a gate pulse at pi plus alpha. So what happens is there is a changeover. The current which is flowing like this, right? Now the direction of current will be same, but it will be in this direction. So it will flow, this is plus, this is minus. So it will flow from T3 through the load back to the T4 and to the negative of the input. So it is going to conduct from pi plus alpha till 2 pi. At 2 pi, what happens is this pulse is going to come and it is going to reverse bias these two thyristors. Will it stop conducting after 2 pi? No. Why? Because the inductor will not allow it to stop. And anyway, though they are T1 and T2 are forward biased, they have not yet got the gate pulse. So when they get the gate pulse, the T3 and T4 will continue to conduct the current for them. Okay, so here you will see that there is you are going to get both positive as well as negative in this waveform. So when I get a positive and negative, I am going to get an DC value depends upon this area is more or this area is more. So I'm going to get positive DC if this area is more. If this area is more, I'm going to get negative DC. Why? How can I vary that? By changing alpha. So if I make alpha here near to 0, obviously I will get more positive, right? And of course your pi plus alpha is going to shift here. So you are going to integrate and get the DC component, and depending upon which is more area is more, I am able to get positive voltage DC or I will get negative voltage DC. But remember that the current through the load will always be positive, because both the thyristors are going to make sure that the current through the load is always for both the cycles in the same direction. Okay, so the inversion is only because the input gets connected to the load and it is acting like a switch. So whatever is the input at that time will be connected to the load. Here is your input current. So in the input current, we see that the input current is going to be straight, and from alpha to pi plus alpha, T1 and T2 is going to carry the current, and T1 and T2 will carry the current in this direction. So the current through the transformer is in this direction as shown in this figure. So I will represent it as a positive current. And when T3 and T4 are conducting, the current will start from here, right? It will start from here, go here, right, and come back and go. And in this case, it is a reverse current through the transformer that will be represented by the negative pulse. And this, who will carry this current? This will be carried by T3 and T4. So T1 and T2 will carry the current from alpha to pi plus alpha. T3 and T4 will carry the current from pi plus alpha to 2 pi. When T1 and T2 are connected, the voltage will be same as the input, right? And it is from here to here, the voltage will be same as what we are seeing, right? And when T3 and T4 are connected, it's a rectified, right? So what happens is, this point, the load will be connected to this point, and this point will be connected through your T3 to this point. So the inversion will be there. So this negative will actually become positive at the load, right? Like a normal rectifier. And now the conduction will be for the load, the current will be positive only. But for the input, because input has reversed, it will be negative. And T3 and T4 will conduct from pi plus alpha to 2 pi. And this will continue till your again positive half cycle comes, and again T1 and T2 is forward biased till T1 and T2 starts conducting. The previous two diodes will continue to conduct. So this is your full wave converter for you. Note that this converter has output voltage which can be positive or negative depending upon the angle of alpha, firing angle, but the current is always positive. Hence this type of converter is called as a two quadrant operated converter, unlike semi converter, which is a single quadrant operated converter, because there the voltage will never go negative. Now coming to the expression for the average DC output voltage of this single phase full converter, we know that the average voltage equation is basically given as VDC, which is 1 upon 2 pi 0 to 2 pi v naught d omega t. Now the output waveform, if you have seen the output waveform, it consists of two output pulses during the input supply time from 0 to 2 pi. Hence the average or DC output voltage can be evaluated as VDC equal to 2 pulses, so 2 upon 2 pi, and we take the integration alpha to pi plus alpha. And since the conduction is from alpha to pi plus alpha, and Vm sin omega t is the input signal because output is same as the input during this period. And integrating sine, which is minus cos omega t, we get 2 Vm by 2 pi. Okay, and so we put the limits as alpha pi plus alpha. See, the new formula for full controlled is 2 Vm by pi cos alpha. Okay, it is a different formula as compared to your DC output DC for a semi converter or for half converter. So in single phase full wave converter, we have to find what would be the maximum DC value. So obviously alpha varies from 0 to 180 degrees, as we know, right? When the two thyristors are forward biased, then only I can give alpha. And obviously we know that when alpha is 0, I should get the maximum DC output voltage. So what is that maximum DC output voltage? Take the DC formula 2 Vm by pi cos alpha. Put alpha equal to 0. I will be getting 2 Vm by pi. So this is the maximum value, VDC maximum, that is possible to get, and that happens when alpha is equal to 0. So normalized is nothing, equation is nothing but we take this Vn, that is a normalized equation, equal to V naught DC, whatever is the output voltage for any given alpha, divided by the maximum DC value, that is when alpha equal to 0. So we will get normalized value as cos of alpha. So if you see here, the DC, we obtain a control characteristics of a single phase full wave controlled bridge converter, single phase full converter we call, for constant and continuous load current. So what we have done is we have plotted the different alpha triggering angles and the output voltage. We know the formula, right? That is 2 Vm by pi cos alpha, that is the DC value. So we are evaluating what would be the value for different values of alpha, and then we analyze it. So what we see is when alpha is equal to 0, obviously I am getting the maximum value when we call it as VDM, which is equal to 2 Vm by pi. When alpha is 30 degrees, I will get 0.866 VDM. When alpha is 60 degrees, you get 0.5 VDM. So what we are noticing is when alpha is 90 degrees, you see I am getting 0 volts. Why I am getting 0 volts is both the positive area and the negative area at alpha equal to 90 degrees will be same, right? Because it is, we are making the output from going from alpha to pi plus alpha. So pi alpha to pi half cycle you will get, from pi to pi plus alpha you will get the other half cycle, and when you integrate both the areas get cancelled, positive and negative, and you get 0. So what we see is from 0 to 90 degrees I am getting positive voltage values, and as I go beyond 90 degrees to 180 degrees I'll be start getting negative output voltages. Okay, so the output voltage as we see here is can be positive as well as negative, right? And the center value, the firing angle, if it is 90, it is going to be 0. So this is the graph that is represented with respect to that table. So we have plotted VDC here, and this is the angle, and the angle is changing from 0, 30, 60, 90, 120, 150, 180, and from 0 to 90 we see that output voltage is always above, that is positive voltage, and after 90 degrees if I increase alpha, I am going to start getting negative values and it reaches the negative peak. Here then the positive peak is VDM, and this because whenever I'm getting a positive voltage at the output, that is when alpha is less than 90 degrees, I call that as a rectification mode. And when alpha is greater than 90 degrees till 180 degrees, I am always getting a negative value. I call it as the inversion mode. So just going through this, during the period when omega t is equal to alpha to pi, the input voltage Vs and the input current are both positive, right? Here both voltage and current is positive. Here you know current is always going to be positive, but voltage is negative, and hence, okay, this is called as the inversion mode. So the converter to be operated in rectification mode is from alpha equal to 0 to 90 degrees, and during the period when omega t is n to n, pi to pi plus alpha, the input voltage Vs is negative and the input current Is is positive, right? And the output power becomes negative, and therefore we call this mode, operation mode, as inversion mode. Now let us continue with the derivation. So as we have evaluated the output average voltage and the output RMS voltage for semi converter, here for full converter, let us also now evaluate the RMS output voltage. So we know the typical RMS output voltage formula, which is given as V naught RMS under the root sign 1 upon 2 pi inside the bracket integration 0 to 2 pi V naught square d omega t. This is a general formula we have to use. Looking at the waveform, we know the conduction angle will be alpha to pi plus alpha. And because it's a full wave, I'm going to write 2. I'm going to get 2 rectified pulses at the output. So 2 upon 2 pi, substitute here as the input value and evaluate the value of RMS. So the explanation goes like this. So what we have done is I have substituted 1 upon pi, and inside I have substituted Vm sine squared omega t and put the root side. Here Vm squared is brought outside and sine squared has been substituted as 1 minus cos 2 omega t by 2. That is for just further simplifying this equation. As we go further, you can put two integration. One is for this part and the other is for this part. And solving them, I will be, substituting these values, right? I'll be substituting here alpha to pi plus alpha, and this converted as minus sine 2 omega t by 2. And again put the limits alpha to pi plus alpha. Try to solve it at your end, guys, and all the steps are given here. So V naught RMS will be Vm squared by 2 pi, and pi omega t will be substituted as pi plus alpha. This is minus alpha, and minus of sine 2 omega t will be substituted with sine 2, and this will be pi plus alpha minus sine of 2 alpha by 2. Further simplifying V naught RMS, you will get Vm squared by 2 pi. The alpha alpha cancel, so I get pi here, minus sine of 2 pi plus 2 alpha minus 2 alpha by 2. Now we know sine of 2 pi plus 2 alpha, the formula is sine of 2 alpha only. So I'll be substituting this as sine of 2 alpha minus sine of 2 alpha, okay, and divided by 2. So V naught RMS will be equal to Vm squared by 2 pi into pi minus this term becomes 0. So I'll get under the root side Vm squared by 2. So I get Vm by root 2. So aren't we familiar with this? The RMS value is Vm by root 2. So this is the RMS value for a full converter, because it is it depends again what is Vm, what is Vs. Hence the RMS output voltage is same as the input supply voltage. But DC voltage will not be, DC voltage we have formula, but RMS voltage at the output will be same as the input RMS supply voltage. Okay. So now that we have looked at the output voltage DC and output voltage RMS for a full controlled rectifier, now let us look at the thyristor current waveforms. Now what we know that the load current we have assumed to be constant, okay, and continuous. And what we know that is that from alpha to pi plus alpha we have got the thyristor T1 and T2 to conduct, and it will always carry the positive current. And T3 and T4 will conduct from pi plus alpha to 2 pi plus alpha. Again, these two thyristors will take on. And that's how the load current becomes continuous. As far as the load is concerned, both these currents are going to flow in the same direction. Hence, both are represented as positive. But at the supply side, that is at the input side, this will be the same for when T1 and T2 are conducting, and this will be reverse. That's how your in Fourier series IDC value becomes 0. And here we have to evaluate now what is the thyristor RMS value. See, this is not the load. Load is the current which is flowing through the load, but the load current is basically made up of two components. One load current is carried by T1 and T2, right? This part and this part, and these two parts are carried by basically your other two thyristors T3 and T4. So in general, the thyristor, each thyristor conducts for how much? So that value is evaluated by I naught RMS by root 2. Okay, and the average value, that is the DC value that is conducted by the thyristor, because we have both AC component as well as DC component, because it's like a rectifier. So it will carry both the DC current as well as the AC current. So the AC current, that is IT RMS, is I naught RMS by 2, and the average current is IT average is I naught DC by 2. So in this particular video, we have seen the problems on half controlled bridge converter. Okay. And we have also seen the fully controlled bridge converter with RL load. We have understood the working with waveforms. We have done the derivation of output voltage, average voltage and RMS average voltage, and also evaluate the correct current output DC and RMS values through the thyristor. In the next video, we'll be looking at the numerical problems of full converter and also understand the dual converters. So I thank you for listening to this video, and if you have any queries, please get back to me on my WhatsApp, okay, or on my email. Thank you so much.